Have you guys seen Twitter recently? If you haven't, I wouldn't suggest it. If you're unaware, pretty much any creator that you like or could ever like has been canceled. Except for your boy over here. Just no Advil fans? You're safe. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. There is a long list of YouTubers who have been mass canceled. Mr. Beast, Ava Chris Tyson, Quackity, anyone who's around past 2013, before 2020 is in the crossfire. And why is that? Well, there's some allegations against Ava Chris Tyson, a former Mr. Beast employee, but that's not what we're talking about. Instead, we're talking about the nuclear apocalypse that is Shadman. Now, if you don't know who Shadman is, I'm so jealous. Shadman is a viral Twitter artist that was around during the Newgrounds age, and from around 2016 to 2019, that's pretty much the only time you'll see anyone talk to him or even interact with him. He is extremely controversial. And if you aren't aware and you're asking, Advil, why is he so controversial? Shadman is someone who is known for drawing very explicit images of specific people. Those involving Daphne Keane while she was filming Logan, Keemstar's 8-year-old daughter, and Lieutenant Corbus while she was still a minor. So makes sense why a lot of people don't like him. But around this time, he was massive in the YouTube community. Pretty much anyone who was somewhat relevant around that time had interacted with him or was actively friends with him. There's a full Twitlonger and master list on Reddit of people who even followed him or replied to one of his tweets, and it is insane. Some names like Sive, Elvis the Alien, Senor Pello, massive creators that you wouldn't expect. But from these giant lists of YouTubers I've found, there has been one issue, and I promise you, I don't mean this to defend Shadman, but there's some people who didn't really do shit. So in this video, I'm going to explain who Shadman is, what he did, and how connected he truly was to the YouTube community, because there's a lot of context that is currently missing that is needed. So let's start with who is Shadman? Now, if you're unaware or you just weren't paying attention to the intro, then fuck you. But for the full story, Shadman is a Newgrounds artist who gained a lot of popularity during the late 2010s, especially in a YouTube crowd. Around this time on YouTube, edginess was king. If you wanted any type of popularity, you had to be edgy. I mean, like iDubbbz, Filthy Frank, Max Mofo were at their pinnacle at this time. Commentary was also at a peak. Drama Alert was massive. People would watch Drama Alert every day. And one of the worst things to come out of this era was Shadman. He is someone that made objectively terrible, disgusting drawings. Even beyond drawing real life children, he would draw a lot of fictional characters interacting with some weird fetishes, incest, diaper play, weird freak stuff. And a lot of his art was used for content, typically to be made fun of, but still used. At a certain point, he became a meme. His artist character represented what was prominent at the time. His character was a Nazi who drew children in a sexual manner. Nothing is more vile and edgy and disgusting than that, but that was the norm back in the day. So around this time, you would see people like Elvis the Alien use his name or his content for clout. Interacting with him at conventions, Belle Delphine did a whole photo shoot, same with Susu. There's people who bought his art and hung it up on their walls because it was funny. It was an incredibly disgusting and different time. I feel like I have to like over-explain how gross all this is. Jesus. And then after those drawings became public, Daphne Keane's lawyers actually sent him a cease and desist, and it basically forced him to cease operations on his website where he was posting a lot of this art. And from that, there were two sides of the YouTube community. Now, a lot of people actually found issue with these drawings, especially after him getting sued, but there was a mass amount of YouTubers, successful and popular YouTubers, who defended his art, saying it was a free speech violation for him to be censored, which well, we'll talk about later. And then later on, Shadman got arrested for assault charges in 2021, and since then he's been pretty quiet, and most people forgot about him or didn't even know about him. He sort of faded into irrelevancy until recently, where because of this Ava Chris Tyson situation, have brought him back up, and he's kind of the nuclear apocalypse for most YouTubers now. He's probably the most well-connected, fucked up person in the YouTube community, and you'd be surprised how many people have connection to him in some form or another. It's so shocking, really, that I guarantee that if I put 3 people in a room and quiz them in some sort of show, maybe like a game show, that they wouldn't really be able to tell who was connected to him or who wasn't. This is a transition, by the way. I don't know if you can tell. All right, welcome to the Advil super awesome, amazing game show. All right, so I'm gonna ask you a series of questions about who was associated with our good friend, especially yours, Shadman. What?
Advil.
All right, first question. All you gotta do is just answer who you think fit the bill. You ready? Who was not actively following Shadman on Twitter?
Are there buzzers?
Who's not actively following on Twitter?
Yeah, I'll give you guys 10 seconds to think.
Oh.
And when you get an answer, just raise your hand. Okay. Call him, boss.
It's Thomas?
Is that your final answer?
Can I phone a friend?
No. You think it's Mr. Thomas?
Sure.
Do you guys agree with him?
No.
No.
Who do you think it is? I'll let everyone get a good answer.
I don't know why, but I feel like Amaranth would follow.
Yeah,
Shadman,
I'm
but,
thinking Amaranth.
No, it's who's not following Shadman.
No, I'm thinking it's Amaranth for not.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like Thomas is too chronic online to not follow Shadman.
I see. Is that your guys' final answer?
I guess
Amaranth.
Miss Amaranth?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is Thomas.
Fuck!
Who has not replied to more than 3 Shadman tweets?
Smash Mouth has replied to more than 3 Shadman tweets.
Is it A, Quackity, B, Smash Mouth, or C, Martin? I was gonna put him as Quackity too, but I didn't want to like actually confuse people.
I'm gonna guess Martin has not replied to Shadman.
Martin?
Yeah,
You guys guess Martin?
I'm going Martin.
The answer is Martin.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, next question. Who has bought Shadman art? Is it Jimmy Beef, Sketch, or Sneaker?
Sneeko.
Okay. Who do you think?
Dude, I think it's Nico.
It has to be Sneeko because he likes minors. He's not like Connor.
Kobe Bryant himself?
It has to be.
I think it's Nico.
Well, I got good news. You guys were wrong. It's Jimmy Beef.
Bro, what?
Huh?
Really?
But he's
I thought it was just.
but he's
I thought it
awesome.
was just
But he's holding his little beast.
Bought it too.
Yeah,
Mr.
you look
Beast.
at his little beast. Was it Ava?
Was it genuinely not just Chris?
The lore is they
thought it
bought
was-
it together while they were roommates. And they hung it up on their wall in their living room.
Surprised that Sneeko has not purchased any Shadman art.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me
I
too.
feel like-
Yeah.
I definitely feel like
Being
he
a
would buy it to
pedophile
prove
is
a
like
point.
Sneeko's #1 like trait.
Next question. Who has not lived with Shadman? Is it Psychic Pebbles, Mick Lauer, or Daniel Keem? Who do
I
you
would
think?
love to say that it's that Keem has lived with Shadman, but I don't think he has.
Yeah? Do you guys agree?
I think they're feuding too much, right?
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
not
didn't
chronically
Shadman-
online enough for
Didn't
this.
Oh my
You guys got it right.
Jimmy's bean.
Who is friends with
Dude, I
Shadman?
think I know the answer.
First, Psychic Pebbles.
Yeah, no.
Next, Brofist.
No.
No,
Wait,
no,
wait,
no.
wait, guys.
Third,
I can-
Advil. Do not.
Shadman.
Dude,
Yeah.
my head's up.
Okay, who do you think?
Okay, so after analyzing it for a while, all
Yeah.
very great picks. I'm gonna have to say, it's gotta be Advil. Who is Advil? Is my final answer.
Right. Anyone else have like a better? That's like obviously right.
No, I
What's your
think we're
answer?
in unison.
You're Ginger.
Okay, so
Oh,
So
that's not
therefore-
fair. Yeah, but like he's
You're like we're up here. We're up here. Yeah, like right here.
yeah, but like he's violent.
Dude,
doesn't-
Rofus is not
Rofus,
violent.
what
It's
do you
awesome.
mean?
Telling me you wouldn't like accept that fist with happiness?
Bro's invited, bro.
Bad news, guys. You almost won $1 million because you got the last question wrong. I'm sorry. It was
not
not.
that kind of
It was
money.
not Advil.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I'm really
didn't-
sorry.
I
It
don't-
was Psychic Pebbles, and I'm really sorry. But thank you for watching Advil's super awesome, amazing
is
game
that?
show.
I'm gonna
Dude.
hang myself.
Thank
What is
you.
that?
Dude.
That's
This is.
yeah.
Why are you lying?
So now that you know about the insane amount of creators who are associated with Shadman, let's play judge and say whether or not they're guilty or innocent. I'm just playing. You really can't have such a complex issue like Shadman and have it just be a black or white issue. So instead of that, let's talk about the people who actively knew what Shadman was doing and chose to either ignore it or defend him, and how some of those people who defended him back in the day or currently have responded to the new criticisms due to the Ava Chris Tyson situation. So let's start off with talking about people who I really don't think deserve the criticism. This will serve as a good baseline for what I personally believe deems someone worthy of criticism or not. This is kind of the guidelines for the Pillman seal of approval. Now, to give some examples of people who I don't really believe did shit were Quackity, Thaf9, and Chris Reagan. The first two, because while they were replying to them, were underage themselves, and Thaf wasn't even a YouTuber by then. He's just kind of like a little shitter in the community.
I cannot believe I even have to make this video, so I'll keep it very brief. No, I don't associate with Shadman. A couple of tweets made when I was 17 to 18 years of age and not even a content creator on YouTube at the time doesn't mean I was actively supporting a pedophile. Be so serious. I didn't even know the full extent of what the man was doing on his site until I was 19 to 20, and since then I'd already written him off and have actively talked shit for years if people bring him up to me.
Similarly to Chris Raygun, who just had a few miscellaneous tweets replying to him, I feel like if all you did was just reply to a few of his tweets and not really give much promotion, or you weren't even big at the time where you could give promotion, who gives a fuck? If you're criticizing someone for replying to a few tweets and not even promoting him or actively supporting or defending him, then you're a fucking idiot. Now that we got that out of the way, let me list off some of the people who I think rightfully deserve to get criticized. And it'll start from the least bad to the absolute worst. Now let's start with the second group of people. These are people who actively collaborated with Shadman or used him for content and eventually defended him. To be more specific, I'm talking about people like Too Mad, Obviously Alien, and Bionic Pig. Now, the first one being Too Mad, he's a complex individual with an insane amount of lore that I'm not talking about today, because goddamn. But essentially, Too Mad's involvement with Shadman was him, similarly to a lot of the people on this thread, was just him replying to a few tweets. But along with that, he also hosted a Rainbow Six Siege event with him and a bunch of creators like Donkey, Jameski, and The Living Tombstone, which is the weirdest mix of people ever. But in this event, it was a massive tournament with a bunch of YouTubers, and Shadman was in it, thus pushing him in front of an audience with potentially millions, if not tens of millions of people. And this was post Daphne Keane lawsuit. I personally think it's an issue when I see people interacting with him post lawsuit. I think there is some wiggle room, but actively having him in an event with a ton of massive creators at the time is too far. Now, as for Elvis the Alien and Bionic Pig, I'm going to use Elvis the Alien as the prime example because he was the most vocal about Shadman. Now, Elvis had a series called The Internet Ruins Blank, where he would take a massive IP and show how the internet ruined it by showing fan fiction, porn, stuff like that. Really weird shit. And he would frequently show Shadman's art on this series. And while yes, a lot of the times it was making fun of it, having quips like, "Oh, that's so gross. Ew, yucky."
Sometimes I wonder who beat the shit out of Shad Base when he was a kid. He's a really good artist. Can't take that from him. But the things he decides to draw,
And during the Daphne Keane lawsuit, when he got his website shut down, both Elvis and Bionic Pig both tweeted out about it, and they both made videos about it, defending Shadman, saying it was a free speech violation, which I talked about earlier. Not only did Elvis publicly promote Shadman, he also defended him, and in my mind, if I was watching him, seeing him make fun of him, but also constantly promote him, and then say, "I don't personally agree with it, but it's not that bad. I think it should be on the internet," it gives off a terrible impression. I think he deserves to be condemned for it, and he was. But we'll get to his response later, I promise. Now let's talk about the final group of people. These are people who actively associated and were friends with Shadman. This involves people like Psychic Pebbles, Rice Pirate Mick, and Omega Black. Now, a lot of these people have been with him for a long time. Rice Pirate Mick and Psychic Pebbles / Oni Plays have been friends with him for almost a decade. Now, Psychic Pebbles and Oni Plays have had tons of videos and tweets and Reddit posts made about them and their association with Shadman. They have a whole article about it on their YouTube Wikipedia page. I won't be focusing on it as much just because there's so much media attention about it, and I like to keep things fresh. But to summarize to the best of my abilities, Oni Plays and Psychic Pebbles were friends with Shadman. He lived with them for a bit, and during the peak of him getting in trouble due to the drawings he made about Daphne Keane and Keemstar's daughter, they defended him as hard as they could. In 2015, they did a podcast episode with Shadman on their podcast Sleepycast. God, I've said cast too many times. And in this, they're talking about how Shadman got kicked out of his university and eventually his country for the drawings they made, and how insane it is that happened, and how crazy everyone is except for him because, you know.
One was criminal psychology, but one of them was in the Justice Department.
Oh my fucking god.
They broke the bomb and said, "We found some stuff on your website which is highly illegal, and we cannot allow you back on the campus.
Oh wow.
Because you're a menace to society."
They said that exactly?
Yes.
You're a menace
Yes.
to society.
They made me sign a thing accepting that
you're a menace.
Yes.
Son, it's you're a menace.
You are officially a menace to society.
Legally, you're a menace.
By like denying my right to express myself in my own free time, completely independent,
disconnected from what
I do in school.
And also how it's been great to have him as a roommate.
Canada, like I kind of got to talk with Corey again, and sooner or later, like Corey said, like, why don't you just move to America? Like, it was after 1.5 years living there, and I was like, that is a great idea.
And it kind of went silent after that. Psychic Pebbles got his own show on Adult Swim, and I'm assuming being thrust into the limelight, want his association to be known. So if you look up Shadman on either one of their Twitter accounts, you find nothing. Now the next person is Rice Pirate Mick. You probably don't know that name at all, but if you're a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you've definitely heard of him, or you've seen any video about the Daft Peanut LS Mark situation, like my video, which you can check out. Wow. Now Mick, as I'll call him for the sake of this, so I don't have to keep on saying his dumbass name all the time, have been friends since or before 2013 to now, essentially. It goes as far as them hanging out in person, just being good friends, you know, just being good guys. He was even on that Sleepy Cast episode with Shadman. And similarly to Psychic Pebbles and Oni Plays, it's a terrible look, especially when you are such, not only social media wise, public figure and popular personality, where you can push someone like Shadman into an audience of tens of millions of people, but also you are popular in a mainstream way. Psychic Pebbles, obviously the creator of Smiling Friends, and Mick actually being a real voice actor working on actual serious roles. It is absolutely disgusting that they would have any association with Shadman and still continuously be friends with him. The third and last person in this group is Omega Black. Now, Omega Black is actually slightly different than the other two. If you're not aware, Omega Black is a very talented Twitter artist working with a bunch of content creators and being generally very popular on Twitter. Now, Omega Black is someone who has interacted with Shadman online and in person multiple times, and even cites him as one of his major influences in his art, which is and I know I keep saying this, that I usually hate the claim that someone's a bad person based on who they follow on social media or a few replies to their tweets, but there's a big difference between citing yourself with a certain person and claiming them as someone that you support and allowing your community and audience to be exposed to them, thus giving them more popularity, versus just clicking a follow button. You can see in the responses from a lot of people online currently to this day, from either online communities in general or Oni Plays and Psychic Pebbles' own communities, that people don't care who Shadman is. They enjoy his personality, which sets a terrible precedent, because if that is something that continues to be bred and a thought that becomes normalized, it allows Shadman and his art and what he does, regardless if it's him or someone else in the future, to be normalized in online or real society. There's absolutely nothing good that can come from having someone like Shadman be normalized in any form or fashion. But now that we've seen the types of people who personally should be criticized for their association with Shadman, let's talk about some of the responses from being called out for said association. The one who has responded the most and has been the most vocal, besides some people silently deleting tweets, has been our good friend Elvis the Alien. Now, in Elvis's response, he basically says everything that I said, except worse. He talks in a very condescending tone towards the Twitter mob, saying that it's a breeding ground of hate, which, to be fair, it kind of is. But the entire response is extremely condescending and making people who are upset with him, just upset that he would defend Shadman at all, sound stupid.
I made a shitty tweet 7 years ago, basically defending his website being taken down. I defended his right to draw gross shit despite my personal feelings about it. I obviously don't feel the same way today. I haven't felt that way in many years. I think if you draw stuff like that, you should be locked up. Back then, I was a dumbass who thought freedom of speech and expression was precious and should be upheld despite mine or anyone else's feelings about someone's artwork. I don't believe that today. I have to accept that there are some idiots out there that will always have the wrong idea about me. I'm all out of it is what it is, you know, I'm just done.
Elvis, I mean this in the nicest way possible. You seem genuinely stupid. You actively made the choice to do and say all these things. You never went back on it publicly, and when you tried, you put it in areas where it was difficult for your audience to find, and then you get mad at people for still assuming that you are associated with Shadman. And also in this response, there was a part where he was talking about how insane Keemstar was and how he's actually the weirdo because him and his legal girlfriend are a massive age gap compared to him and his wife. Who gives a fuck? That clip has since been removed from this response, and there's a comment that says, "It was wrong of me to deflect and point the blame at Keemstar, but he was more than justified in his actions." So that portion of the video has been removed. In this video, I should have clarified that when I said I could have guessed he was a pedo, the subtext here, I don't think about it all the time when I probably should have. I feel like what a lot of creators, especially you, don't understand is that you might change and be a completely different person behind the camera, but what people see is what people know. And so even if you've had this massive and beautiful character arc where you realize, wait, the guy drawing porn of real life children is bad if you don't make it clear and you don't make a tweet or a video or response or anything or even a comment under all those videos that had his art in it, or change the multiple thumbnails with his art in it, or cut out the clips of him in your videos or any of that, then people won't know that you don't associate with him. If the only time you act and show that you do not associate or strongly dislike this person when you're getting called out, what about that seems genuine at all? Now, beyond Elvis, Senor Pello also responded. If you don't know who he is, he's a YouTube animator and overall funny guy who got called out for his association with Shadman through a bunch of tweets. Also, he did multiple art pieces and animations containing Shadman and his character. And Pello's response is really long, it's like 20 minutes. So let me just talk about the main points. So essentially what Pello said is very similar to Elvis. I didn't know him. We weren't friends. You know, he was popular. I was an edgelord, so of course I had to associate with him. Stuff like that. I do have to give props to Senor Pello because he did genuinely apologize. He felt bad and that a lot of his stuff was sarcasm and memes and pure edge and, you know, big chungus, but he did feel bad. Pello also said he didn't really know what was on Shad's website.
No, back in the day, I never supported that shit. I was following for edgy because I was edgy and cringe back in the day. I regret it. Of course, I fucking regret it. I regret that I didn't found out early. As much of a surprise is, yeah, I didn't go to his fucking site. If I went to his site, I would have realized and say, fuck no.
And, you know, to be fair, I really do believe him. Until you look at what people were mad at Pello about. Having tweets where people call him out for associating with Shadman in 2017 and him saying, remember, pedophiles are people that love children. People that draw children are artists. Besides, Shad's site is for 18 plus, not for 0 to 14. Now, he claims that this tweet was a joke and a big haha.
It was like, pedophiles like children, but artists like art or something like that. And then besides, Shadman does this. Again, I don't remember. But it was a pretty bad tweet. Of course, it was sarcasm. Of course, it was like edgy commentary shit. Back in the day.
The worst bit of sarcasm I've ever seen. Yeah, there's nothing more sarcastic than actively knowing the rules of a website you supposedly don't know about. Also, giving advice how to monetize Shad's website, a website that he doesn't know about. Now, is any of this actual proof that Senor Pello knew about all the drawings that Shadman had created, especially of minors? No. But it is weird to have multiple cases where you are actively citing things with the website or giving advice towards a website that you allegedly do not know anything about. It sucks because I actually do genuinely like Senor Pello, and I was being so biased while researching. Pretty much everything I found, to me personally, has made me believe that he knew what was going on. So, appreciate the apology, big guy. Now that we got the entire plethora of things I wanted to talk about out of the way, let's go to my final thoughts. What I truly think about the people on this list and creators who have been associated with or interacted with Shadman. Now, while a lot of people have said that Shadman is kind of the Epstein of the YouTube community, I don't believe that. While yes, he did have a lot of association with a lot of creators, I don't think in the grand scheme it really means much. I think guilt by association really only goes so far. If you are actively promoting this person to your audience, which most of these people have massive audiences, that's where it gets bad. I don't think one single follow or a like on a tweet or a reply to a few tweets should deserve condemnation. If they feel like they should respond, then that's great by them, but I do not think it goes as far as needing a full-on response or cancellation or apology. What I truly believe is some of the worst things I've seen are the people who continue to be friends with Shadman even after the constant news about him getting out. Having Keemstar, one of the biggest at the time internet news outlets for drama, be so heavily involved with Shadman in terms of controversy, it was almost impossible to not know about him in that form. So to have all these creators say that, oh, I didn't know what he was doing. I just thought he was a weird little guy with weird little interests is absurd. There's pictures of people posted with Shadman's art on their walls or commissioning him for certain things, and I think that is disgusting. A YouTuber named Aki Dearest has pictures of his art on the wall, and while it isn't the kind of art that Ava Chris Tyson had on the wall, I think supporting him monetarily in any way is also pretty disgusting. Majority of YouTubers that I've met or I have seen are terminally online, especially back in 2017, 2016. So actively avoiding this kind of drama or controversy was impossible. I would be genuinely surprised if someone who knew who Shadman was and followed him and kept up with him enough to reply to his tweets wasn't terminally online enough to know who Keemstar was and to hear about the Shadman lawsuit with Daphne Keene. But at the end of the day, some people deserve this criticism and some people don't. I do believe that it's up to your jurisdiction to determine the type of person that you want to support. But I will say, allowing Shadman and people like Shadman to continue to grow an audience like he did and to be pushed out to majority of young kids who are on YouTube is disgusting. And anyone who actively promoted him in any fashion beyond constant condemnation and making sure everyone knew how disgusting him and people like him are, in my opinion, deserves some kind of backlash. But on that gloriously depressing note, I appreciate you watching. I think that's all my time I have for today. I really appreciate you watching. I have a few other videos, some more or less serious. I did a video recently on those Reddit, TikTok story time things with Subway Surfers, so if you want to watch that, it'll be up there or at the end screen. And if you want something a bit more fun, I've done plenty more fun videos, but my favorite one is where I made Anthony Fantano's least favorite song of all time. So please go check those out, go subscribe, and check me out on Twitter. I'm a very funny guy. I appreciate you watching. That's gonna be it for me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Breakfast with a bitch named Tiffany, Wrist game is thin cause it's ivory, Got your mommy with me now, irony, Trying to pipe my dentist, fake a cavity, What? I got my panties up, and you withdrew. I got my panties up, and you withdrew.